let's remember that on Wednesday we have the last knowledge check. So I mean, it will happen as usually. We had the previous two knowledge checks. Okay, so let's start. Let me check if the recording is ongoing. Okay, it looks that it is ongoing, so we can start. Okay. One moment. Yeah. So first of all, let's maybe open Visual Studio first. So moment, opening the solution. Multiple tasks. No, yeah, we have multiple tasks and so pdemo. Okay, so now I can open this to Visual Studio, and my screen is okay. So my screen is back. I see more people joining. Let me close the programs I don't need because I already see there are some potential troubles. Okay. So I think we're good. Let me create. Yeah, basically, last time we started talking about the files, and remember that the file we usually use data files, the files to store the data. They all have the common format. So today is demo 2021. So remember, we have the common format for the files, and these files are usually, you see, these files are CSV, XML, JSON. So these files are quite popular and used in many different solutions for the data storage and what's maybe more important, data transfer from one place to another. Usually it is the way how to exchange the information between different components of the program. Again, usually we have the front end and component. I mean front end and back end. Yeah. So front end is what users usually see. Yeah. So what usually the users are interacting with, and the backend is what where the program is stored, where the main data is fetched from. So basically, from where we fetch the data, where we do some calculations, where we do basically heavy logic. Because heavy logic, I mean some heavy calculations, heavy data fetching, heavy data preparation. I mean, if we take lots of different file sources, like usually it's the database, we'll do the file readings, maybe file generating as well. So all these things should happen in the backend. Yeah, in the backend, because on the front end, it's I mean, there should be the connection between front end and back end. So imagine if you write the work, if you do the main actions in the front end, means that you should always exchange the information between the front end and the back end. And the thing is that at the end of the day, the data will be stored in the back end. I mean, it will be fetched through the back end because you cannot access the database directly from the front end. Yeah, so like if you write the logic which is meant for the, like, let's say web application or website, usually it's not like it's not really possible to access the data directly from there. But if there's the backend solution, then it's usually done from the backend. Yeah, so and yeah, we need to store the files somewhere. For example, for the files, they're actually there. For example, if I'm not mistaken, jQuery can read the files. Yeah, but so for the files, yeah, technically it is possible, but still the main actions happen in the backend. So and basically, yeah, so now we only work with the backend because we have something what users do not really interact with, and yeah, this is why we call it backend. So yeah, and we need to exchange the data again. As I said last time, JSON and XML are usually used to send the data from or to the backend. Like that's the way how we exchange the information between the front end and the back end. Yeah, so also these file types are needed for the setup, as I mentioned last time. For example, you can see here, so it's maybe not really strictly the format for XML, but it actually is, let's say, the subtype of XML. Yeah. So some settings are done using XML, some also some data storage. As I said, data can also be stored. So technically, you can create your own database using the files. The problem is that it's maybe not really. I won't say it's not really efficient, but you need. It may be more complicated, and such complexity is not needed for the data storage here, because the databases are more easy to work with. And that's why maybe the data storage using the files, it is possible, but it's always better to use the database in such cases. Let me check if my laptop is charging. Okay, so it's back to charging. So yeah, and last time we talked about JSON files and CSV files. So CSV files are quite simple. They're just the text files where we have the rows, multiple rows, and the separation between the column values. Yeah, we may have we may have different separators. For example, in this case, maybe open some kind of example. Okay, so on my CSV file. So technically here we have the rows, and we have each column separated by semicolon. In some cases, you may, for different programs, the requirements may be different. For example, there are the programs which ask comma, and then each field should be provided with the quotation marks. So this way. So such cases are also possible, and in practice, it's more complicated. It is complicated to work with such files. Also, what is important? If you work with CSV files, you usually work. I assume you usually work in Excel. So in Excel, what are the things what you need to be careful about? So I also faced such things in my experience, and if you because the thing is that the CSV files are, at least from my experience, they are widely used in the productive system when we migrate some kind of data. It may be the customer data, it may be the product data, it may also be some kind of technical setup data. And like for example, like my recent migration was one of the recent migrations was about the title migrations in the different languages. So let's say we introduce a new country in our scope in our project, and so for the database files, this country should have some titles of people like Mr., Mrs., Mr. and Mrs., unknown, and so on and so on in different languages. And so such technical things may also be migrated. And what the problem may be if you work with Excel. Please note that there are different types of fields. So for example, if I want to maintain the numeric value, let's say I have the special value, which is 00001. So this means that, I mean, I want to enter this value, not 1, but it automatically converts 00001 to 1, which is not correct. So be careful here. I need to change it to text. And once you change it to text, you'll get the right value for you. Okay? Because technically, there may be also a huge difference between 1 and 001. I mean, technically, there can be some differences. So please be careful here. Okay? All right. So yeah, then let's go back to the XML files. So now today we talk about them, and again, XML files are. So we can take some samples. Let's see. We have the file. So let's say we have this file. So let me read the file as we did before. Oh, am I on the right one? Yeah, I'm on the right one, and here we used. Okay, so that's fine. So let's read the file again. XMLs are just the text files. I mean, it's not like something like PDF or Excel file. Yes, so there maybe from user experience, there is not much difference between the CSV files and Excel files. However, there is a huge difference from the reading point of view because CSV files are much more easier to work with. They are just simple text files with the separators. Excel files, they can have the, let's say, some kind of colors, backgrounds, the different fonts and so on. CSV files are, so this is Excel file, but XML file, but the point is that CSV files are much more easier to work with. So yeah, and what we have here we have the, again, also the text file. Yeah, the file was the text, and this file may be parsed by the program you use. So, and then, so it means that since we have the text file, we again start with the text. So that would be Xml documents. And I would say I read the file, read all text, then I provide the path. Provide the path. Again, I use add here, and then I read the file. So that will be my file. Okay, so here I read the file, and the next thing is that I can, so technically, I mean, that's just a simple file. Of course, I don't want to go create a program which automatically just, I mean, I don't want to create this program on my own. I use the built-in parsers, and for such purpose, we can use XML document, which goes from the using system, and here we can access XML. So we need this usage, and this will help me to create XML, which should be data document if I'm not mistaken. So, and here I can, if I'm not mistaken, I can use the constructor. And I think one moment. So, okay, yeah, create it. That's correct. And then I load it. It's not this one, that's mine. It's my data document, and here I can load XML. And now I have this XML document. Oh, hold on, yeah, XML data document is deprecated. Yes, I'm not sure why it's, yeah, I mean, it suggested me XML document, data document instead of XML document. I was also a little bit confused here. Okay. So here we do have it, and so yeah. Then what are the steps what we can do? I mean, technically we always need to get the data, right? So this is our main point. So yeah, then the thing is, let's say I can data, and yeah, so from here you can do lots of different things. So, and for example, let me get the XML. So let's say I want to get the countries. So in this particular case, I select get element by ID. Oh no, sorry, by tag name. By tag name. And here I can provide the tag name countries. Get elements. So, and basically XML, working with XML is based on the nodes. So we have like each element here, it is the node. Or if we have multiple elements, like here we have the country. So these would be the nodes. Yeah. So here we get then the elements. And of course I need to assign them. XML nodes. And that would be, and I can get type, so we can always navigate here and see XML node list. Yeah. Or no, that would be country then. Let's try this one, country. XML node list. And that would be country list. Alright, so now we get them. And so, and let's say we want to get the, let's maybe print the name of countries first. So we get the country list, and from here I can get the enumerator. And oh no, hold on. Let's maybe go then for each. Go for each. Have country and country. Country. And country list. And then maybe let's print the country name. So we have a country that will be the node. And so maybe we can print the node, and let's see the result. Okay, so I switch to the current one and I run it. So. Okay, so in this case it prints it as the ID, as the reference ID. So in this case we won't get any significant results. So here I then need to so the country is one moment. So the country. Oh, hold on. So the country was the it's the object. Okay. So this is the object. So that's fine, and then I need to then cast it. That will be XML element, and that will be country. So yeah, because it returns the object. So and then since I don't know sorry, I don't know that this is the XML element. So element means this particular. So it's not the collection of the elements. It's not the something like this. It is the actual element country. So this one. So and then I can get sub element from here. So that will be I can get the attribute. So here I can print the ID. So let's say I want to print the IDs. So this would mean that it will print, in this case it should print 1, 2. So of course needs to yeah, so it prints the attribute. Yeah, so we have the attribute and then it is here. So, but let's say that we want to print the country names. So here we can then get, so let's say we want to get names. So in this case, it has get elements by tag name. Why? Because in theory we can have, let's say, multiple names or something like this. It's not mentioned that that these names are the these names are the unique. Okay. These names are the unique. It's not mentioned here. So this means that they can duplicate, and this is what we need to consider. That's why it has the option get elements by tag name. So let's say tag name is name, but I know that. So in this case, I know that there's only one element. So what I do is I get first. I can do them this way, and they should work. So let's run the program and see the result. Yeah, of course, it still shows the XML document, which is not correct. I need to get the inner text. Yeah, because to string and inner text there are. So yes, in this case, I get the name. So let's write the comma here. Yeah. So yeah, one syntax. I guess I did not. I did not talk about it before. There's the question mark. Question marks means that we execute the operation only if the reference return here is not null. Why? Because here we work with the reference data types, and if we try to access the element which is null, then we get the corresponding null pointer exception, which is not good for us, of course. That's why it means that we need to we can use question mark to prevent such exception. Yeah, so this would be the option. So in this case, we get the inner text. Basically, again, let's quickly follow the sequence because this may be a little bit confusing for you. So we have just basically step-by-step solution. So let's try this. Yeah. Okay. So again, what happens here? we get the text. So here we just simply get the whole XML document as text. Next step is that we create the local object. Then we load the XML into the local object. So in this case, it does the parsing. So it parses the XML document in the way that it's now stored as the object. So it stores these elements in the way that we can easily access them. Because otherwise, if we just simply have this as the text, so the question may be how can you get something from this document? Yeah, of course, you need to do the parsing manually, and it's not needed because we all because we have these files already. So, and then we get this result here. So we get this document, it loads, and everything's fine. Next step is that we get elements by text. So it means that we read this XML and get all the elements which have the tag country. So it means that it will get this element and this element. Since we have two elements, this means that we store them as the list. Okay, so this is why I return XML node list. And then we go through all these elements and I have the country. And so each element would be the country. And with the opening tag, I mean the text, of course, in this case, we don't care about the text. We have this element, and this element has the corresponding data. Okay, so and here I access again. Now I have the country as the element, so I get then elements by tag name. So now tag name is name, so I get all the tags which have the name, which have the name. And I get the first one because again, if I have, let's say, multiple names, that may be possible. Then I have two elements, and I need to, and then the program will not understand which element I want to read. Yeah, so that's why I say that I want to get the first element. I check if the first element exists. If not, then this will not be executed. And it gets the inner text. Inner text is text in between two tags we have. So this is the way how we can access the data. So what's then? I guess we do have the country, right? We already have the class country, so we can reuse it. Did we have it here, right? Yeah, I think we have it here. Yeah. So that's why maybe I will add the reference to my previous solution on Saturday. So I will add reference. So this is elements. Okay, and now I can actually access the country as the object. So what does it mean? It means that, let's say, we want to get the full list of countries. So I have the list. It will be just simply the list of country. Of course, I also need to use my previous namespace. Let's use this. So now I can get the country here. Why the country is not? Okay, I know why it is not available, because it's not public. So you see, if the class is not defined as public, I will not see it from outside the class, from outside the solution. Yeah? Now I define it as public, so I should now be able to see it here. Yeah? So now I can define the list of all the countries I have. So that will be list countries. So I'll create a new list here, and here I will store the countries. So now my task is to put the data into these into this collection. So maybe I will rename the file, the variables a little bit, because just to not confuse. And here I can then, instead of printing, I can fill in the countries required. So what will I do? I will create, again, same way as before. I start with the object definition, I define the object, and then I set the values for this object. So I have the name, this goes here, and yeah, so right. Okay, it can assign reference. So yeah, in theory we can, so just in case you worry about no reference, as an option to not have no reference, I can do a small check. So maybe I check if this is not null, so I check if this, or maybe not, so it would be, okay, maybe at this point I keep it as this, but in theory what we can do, we can assign the value here. Oh no, maybe that will be confusing. Okay, so maybe I just keep it as is. Okay, so then we have the country name. Then the next one would be we have the country ID. Okay, so we can fill in the ID. So instead, oh yeah, by the way, ID would be not, since yeah, remember ID is not the element, ID is the attribute. Yeah, so in XML we have the difference between the element and the attribute. So in this particular case, that would be that we don't get the element by name, but we get the attribute ID. And so, yeah. Yeah, so what's okay, the ID is the number. Yeah, so here we have the strings again. We have all the elements as the strings, and that's why I need to parse the string to integer, right? So we have integer here. Yeah, so in this case I need to do our usual adjustment. That would be int 32. I parse. In this case, it's not really needed to use try parse because in this case it will trigger the exception if we see the information. We can also use try catch. So maybe let's do it. So just if you want to make it easier, you can simply write try catch. You can put everything in try catch if you want. So I mean, usually maybe I suggest to be more precise. So you can define from which place you expect the error and until which place, but just the easy solution would be if you just simply catch everything or start at the beginning. So in this case I can override the exception, just print the exception. So yeah, now we are safe. So country ID is here. Then let's go next. We have GDP. Yeah, maybe let's write this solution. Then I will maybe show you a little bit more efficient approach. So in this case we have GDP, which is double. So again, I need to do the parsing there, and 32 parse. Oh no, sorry, not in the double parse. Of course, I have double. Okay, this is done. And then the next thing would be the capital city. So this is the string. So this is capital city. And then the last one is the currency, right? Yeah, the currency. Let's see. Okay. So, and of course I need to add this country to the collection, right? So I can do it. All right, at the end, let's maybe print all the data we got. Right. And let's print. Let's see. Yeah, so we see that all the data is migrated. I mean, not migrated, but read. Correct, we have not migrated yet, but we read this data as expected. So, and then I would like to slightly adjust this thing. What I don't like is that we read the file every time. So basically, in this case, what happens? So here is, I guess, one of the first, maybe this is the first time I will talk about the performance, efficiency of the performance here. And the thing is that such reading may be not really efficient. Why? Because, yeah, first of all, for me as for the program, it doesn't matter which element is maintained first. So I don't care if the first one is maintained, name or GDP or ID or currency or whatever it is. So basically what will happen in this case, every time when I use the method get elements by tag name, it checks all the tags and it checks the names of the tags. So in this case, it means that we have the string comparison. So it checks, it reads by string. And I mean, of course, in some cases there is no other way but to read by string. But I guess you understand that when you try to compare the strings, not try, but when you compare the strings, when the program compares the strings, when the program reads the elements by strings, then it takes a little bit of time since you need to compare the strings. And you know that to compare the strings, it may be much more complicated to compare, let's say, the integers. Because strings are just simply more heavily heavier. And yeah, that's why here basically what happens, I read through all the, yeah, basically here we have the read operation. Remember when we talked about the collections, we have the read operation, so we get the element from the collection. So here we also have the collection, let's say some kind of collection of the elements, yeah, element name, element capital city, element currency, element GDP. And I want to get the element by its name. So I need to execute the read. And in this case, maybe it's not really crucial since I have only 4 elements. But let's say you have 400 elements in the Xml files. So it is also possible, like you have the large Xml files. And what happens in this case, every time you try to get the element by tag name, it checks all the collections and finds you all these elements. So basically, this operation, it goes through the collection every time you call it, which is not really efficient. I mean, in this case, we have the better option. So what would be the better option? The better option would be that I have the node list. So again, I have the node list, and that would be country elements. And I get the country node elements. So that would be not get elements by tag name, but I get the simply I get the enumerator, so I maybe don't really need to declare it. But what will I do? I will the following. I will call the XML element. So the same way as here. Here we go through all the country nodes. So here we go through all the countries, and like country 1, country 2, in case we have more, then also go more. And here in this case, inside the country 1 country node, so we are currently inside 1 country node. So under this one, we can go through the elements of the nodes here we have under the country. So in this case, I have loop inside loop, and here I get the element, and that would be country element, say element, 1 element. In this case, there will be the difference again. Okay, let me write and then I show you. In country node. Yeah. Yeah. And then I create. Okay. This seems to be correct. And then I create the get object is created. And then I need to find out what the element is this. So in this case, what will I do? I will use, you can use if else. If I maybe will use switch. And so the switch will be on the country elements not inner text but get elements it's, I need to get the name of okay, here we have the name, sorry. Realized switch country name. So and then I can use the cases. So let's say I have the case name. So then if the case is name, then I can easily add the name and break. Then say I have case ID, right? And then program should suggest me what to do. Okay, it does not, but that's fine. I parse element to integer. So I have country elements. I mean the same as happening. So in theory, you can also do the following thing. You can add, let's say, elements. So that would be string elements. I'll say that would be even more, maybe better. That would be element text. So then I can get element inner text. And yeah, so then I can pass it to name. Basically, in this case, there will be no real difference if I call every time inner text or I call elements to the element text, but that's up to us to decide how we want to proceed here. Okay, and then basically for all the elements we have. Let's say we have for GDP. So for GDP, I call country 3 GDP. And so the same as I did here, but here I do it a little bit more interesting way, easier way, I would say. And then I guess I go break, then I go to the capital city, and so we take this name. So basically, I mean, the result would be the same as we have here, but this is more efficient approach technically. Okay, so that will be capital. And I add the element text and I break. And then the last one would be the currency. break. So, and we don't have default case, so we don't need it. Okay, so, and here we have then these values. All right, let's check if everything is correct here. Yeah, so the same result here, so we are correct here. Basically, what happens here, again, this case, I don't need to read, like previously I read each element separately. Here I have more efficient procedure. I go through all the elements. I mean, it goes not through the, yeah, it basically goes through all the elements one by one. So we step on the current element, check the name, check the name of the element, put it in the right place. Oh, no, hold on, we don't have the ID here, my fault. This is my fault, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, that is my fault. ID is the attribute, so the attribute will be stored separately. So that's why the attributes are fetched different way. Yeah, by the way, maybe I can fetch it from outside, so that I can simply fetch it from here. And that will be country, country element. Oh no, hold on, country node. Country node. And here I can get attribute, that would be the ID. And of course I need to parse that to integer. Right? Okay. So this is done. Now let's run the program then. Okay, but I guess the ID is not printed. So let's correct this. This ID plus. So let's run this program again. Okay, so IDs are in place. So basically we have all the data here. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, I hope it's clear. If not, then please let me know. Yeah, so basically this is the, let's say, manual way. There is one alternative, what we can do. The alternative is link. So this means that we can use system link, and we can use link syntax in this case. So let's then write the same logic but using link. So maybe I will okay, maybe okay, now maybe I will use the link for one another purpose. So let's say the user wants to read the country by ID. So let's say I ask user console, right? I ask user, please provide the ID of the country. So let's say maybe the ID. And then the user provides the ID. Now let's say the ID is correct. I will not check the data right now, the input. Just simply taking some time, but I will just read one and I will get the ID. Now I can assign ID as integer directly, and then or maybe, I guess in this case it will be even much more easier to use the string. So, and then let's say I want to select the country by ID. What will I do? I can use them from. Or no, let's do it differently. I will. In this case, we simply have the collection. So I can use the collection. Let's say no, hold on. In this case, that would be more complicated. Okay, maybe using link. In this case, I can use. Yeah, maybe we can also filter. In this case, yeah, maybe, and just a small example of one of the expressions. We have select. So we have select, and then we have the function that would be, say, still, and then no, that would be the country. Let's say xid equals the ID we provide here, right? Oh, okay, that should be enough. Yeah, remember that we define the variable in lowercase. That's why to compare this way. The ID is null. Let's see, ID is null. Okay, we can maybe also use input. Oh, hold on, input exception is already here. That is not null. Oh no, hold on. Yeah, sorry, that's the. Yeah, I just forgot that this is the integer. So yeah, then here we can parse. Okay, I'm sorry, just haven't noticed that this is the integer. Okay, so and then we can get the results. Result would be the country. Say country results. And what would be the first one? Returns. And let's say first on default. That would be fine. And of course here we then use the country. The type. Okay. No, not correct. Hold on. Okay, let's try not to use list. It doesn't make sense. Sorry. Okay, so this will return just a small confusion. That will be enumerable. Okay, so that will be enumerable. So we get, let's say, the first element. No, hold on. I take the first one. And maybe I can also try to cast this. Country type. No, hold on. Just a little bit confused. That will be the first element from the sequence. Hold on. Let's just do it a bit. Let me quick check because I'm confused. Let me have a quick check. Let me a quick check. Okay, maybe let's use where instead of select again. Okay. So use where. Okay, this will return. INumerable. But this would be fine, and then I take. So I think I can. A moment, I just. So, okay, it takes. So I get the first element. Okay, and the problem is that it. Yeah, it returns the first element. First okay, type country. No, I don't. Okay, one moment. So just was a bit confused. Double check. 1 minute. Double check this. Might be INumerable. Yeah, so this is correct. It will. So what? I know what I need to get the first element. So why can't I get the first element? Okay, INumerable country. Yeah, this would not be correct. Single hides. Okay, it returns. So that will be type country. No, I don't need single. 1 moment, so I'm a little bit confused about this. Okay, maybe let's try to do it in the following way. So I get this enumerable. So from here I can. Okay. So here I can convert to list. So that will be the list of countries. And maybe I can get the first one. No. Okay. And so I convert to the list. And then I get first element. Okay, fine. Sorry for this trouble. Just a small confusion. Okay. So then let's write this element. So, okay, it is done, and then we can run the program. So let's say I select ID 2, and it finds me the right country. So the same way, if I select 1, it selects me the first one. And so This is the way how we can read the files, XML files, and how we can fetch the data from them. Alright, do you have the questions about this? Yeah. Hello. Yeah. 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 It's automatically, basically for me it already sees it, and I think it may be related to the .NET version. Which version are you using? Okay. No, I mean the .NET version. It's .NET itself. Okay, that's for the 6.1. Maybe this is the difference for the 6.1. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, if it requires, that's maybe not really the problem. If you add it, but in this case, I mean, everything is already. Yeah, in this case, you see that if I don't even need to use the system because it already is included automatically. And I don't need to use Wink because even the system is unnecessary for me for .NET 6. I guess it's .NET 6 or maybe also the latest versions of .NET 5, but yeah, we don't need them. Alright, so if there are no any questions, then maybe we can have a 10 minutes break now. So it's at 7:45 and then we continue. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, this is the way how we can read XML files. So the next step would be basically what do we usually do with these files? In normal case, we migrate them somewhere. Of course, we can also use we can create our own database using these files. But let's say that I want to create my database. So for the database, my question is for those who didn't work with me on the previous course, what kind of did you work with the databases? Those who came from another course. Yeah. Okay, so yes. Okay, yeah. Basically, for you, there's no difference what kind of database you use. My group, we use Xampp, or if you also want to use MySQL, so there's no difference. I prefer using Xampp because for me it's easier to configure and it's easier to use it. So I will use Xampp. So just if you don't have the MySQL or Xampp on your computer, then you can download it. I will give 2 links. P2 Xampp. So I give 2 links. So this will be to Xampp if you want to download, and also for those who want MySQL Workbench, you can also download it. And I will share the link. So this is for the database. I'll use Xampp. For me, it's easier to configure and use it. So here you see we have Apache and MySQL. So to access the database, I can go to localhost, and that would be phpMyAdmin. Let me load it. Okay, so it is loaded now. And here I have the databases. So let's maybe create a new database here, and that would be, say, .NET, say 2. Yeah. Any questions? Okay, then I assume this microphone button was pressed accidentally. 1 minute. Okay, but in case you have any questions, then let me know. So here I create database. You can do it in other environment. It doesn't matter. So here I create database. So let's say that I create database. So we have database for countries. So let's say we have database for countries. So and then I can so table for countries. So the table for countries, and let's put the data we have here. So yeah, we have the countries, and then we have the ID that will be external ID. So in this case, I'll use local ID as the primary key. Yeah, that would be the primary key automatically incremented. So this means that to be primary and automatically incremented. So the primary key, remember that for the databases, we have the keys. So the keys should be unique to basically to store the unique values in the table to determine the row using the key. So that would be the ID. So the next one would be country name string. Maybe I'll use varchar since it's more efficient. Maybe I say that the limit would be 60 characters. Would be, or maybe let's simply use text at this point. Or no, maybe I'll use varchar. Okay, so then I use the capital. City, I will use the currency. The capital city, of course, will also be the text. The currency will also be varchar. Remember that for the database tables, we have the types, the following types: integer, varchar, text, and date. I prefer maybe use varchar, so since varchar is less heavy string, so it has a limited number of the characters, and this would be more efficient for the data storage. So, and I can add more columns from here. So that would be GDP, and the GDP would be double. So double would be, I will use numeric. So I use numeric, that would be double. This one. Okay, and so let's then proceed. Oh yeah, for varchar I need to enter the length. Okay, let's limit the length. It's the size 60. For currency, I can give even less characters. Okay. So I will press save. Oh, one more thing, we have external ID. Let me also add this. So let's add one column. Oh, I guess that was the wrong one. One moment. Here we have the column. Sorry. And then we have ID, which will be external ID. Remember, I explained to my group before, why do we need external IDs? And why do we need internal IDs? So basically, the thing is that same as we see here, we have, let's say, two systems. So one system is, in this case, we maybe don't have real two systems, but we have two data sources. Yeah, the data source, which is our file. I mean, usually it may be taken from anywhere. And the second data source is the database table. And the thing is that, basically, since we have two sources, we have two data storages, and each of them has its own data sequence. So in this case, that's why when we store data in the database, we also store external ID in addition to the visual ID, because this would be the ID which is unique, and it comes from the for this table. It means that it is generated here and it is stored here. And then we have external ID, which comes from the another source, which comes from another source, and then it is stored here. I can make it as I can add index here. I can make it as index. So this would mean that this would be the secondary key. And so this should also be unique. It won't be the key of this table, but it will be unique, and I will fill it from the file. Okay, so at this point we have the data. Sorry, we have the place where we put the data, and so I want to creates the logic which will put the data into the database. So first of all, I want to combine my logic a little bit. So what should I do? So you see that for the JSON files, for CSV and JSON. Okay, maybe at first I will make it easier. I will simply, let's start with XML files. So instead of printing them, let's migrate them. So remember how to work with the MySQL programs, with MySQL in .NET. So one moment, you need to use MySQL connector, just a library, and from there we can add the logic. Okay, and just a small check for me. Okay. So first of all, I need to use MySQL connector. So I'll use this, and the thing is that it will not be available at this point. So I need to add a new package here. So remember how to add the packages. So I can go to the command line, I can go to the terminal from here, and this would, and I need to write the command .NET add package, and I provide the package name I want to add. So this will generate me the package, and I will see the values here. So it will now be available for one of them. A moment, but so here. Okay. Oh, sorry. The terminal place is incorrect. That's incorrect. Maybe close it and open again. Okay, so it was, the path was the wrong one. So now it is correct. Let's run again. So again, .NET add package, and from here I can add my SQL connector. Okay, and now it should be. No, it still won't be because I have one more folder. And I need to add to my current source. Okay, this one. One moment. Demo. This folder name. Let me quickly check this one. Let's check folder name. So yeah, of course. I need to go to the, yeah, so it should be from here. So again, under demo we don't have, but we have it under the practical tasks. Okay, so it's 13th of December 2021. Okay, so that's what it was. Oh, that was the typo here. Sorry. Okay, so let's add package. And now we have the package available here. So first of all, I need to connect to the to my Sql connection. So maybe I will write a separate program, or not a separate method here. So that will be static void. Let's say migrate. Let's say migrate, and here I can provide the list of countries to migrate. And from here I can migrate to countries. So I can start with my Sql connection, and here I define the connection first. So I create my Sql connector connection, and then I provide a data source. So the data source is localhost. So this is my localhost. I can take it from here, and then the username, user ID, sorry. User ID would be default. Okay. So here we have this connection. So, and then the next one would be that I get. So yeah, basically from the connection, what can we do? At first, I start with my SQL commands I want to execute. So here I can define my SQL command, and that would be my SQL command. And here I can define the command I want to execute. So here I want to this point, we can make it first easier, and later on we can take a look on the more advanced case. So let's maybe run for each. So for each countries, and then let's say I create a command, my new MySQL command. So, and here I will insert. And basically where we can take a look on the command. If we go to SQL, from here we can copy paste the command we want to execute. So yeah, I mean there is one option that we can concatenate a string. Another option would be that we make it more efficient way. We do it in a more efficient way, and we use the prepared command. Prepared. Yeah, use the prepare. So for prepared SQL statement. So, and in this case, I will write this as the string first. So that would be string. Sorry, string query. And here I write this query. So that would be insert into. So then I get the table name. So in this case, the data source. I can also provide the database. So in this case, I have not provided the database. Let's maybe do it. Database is .NET-2. So it means that I will take the tables from this database, and here I can write the statement. So I mean, in this case, I will show you one example, and then I'll give you a practical task on this, so you can also try it by yourself. Try it yourself. So here I say insert, and I want to insert into the table, which is countries. So I insert into countries table, and yeah, the countries. I'll provide the values I want to insert. Basically, I can copy paste the query from here. Maybe I'll do it this way. Paste the query. I can also split it into into multiple lines. So yeah, in this case I have the countries. I'll maybe not use the escape characters since I don't use the spaces. And so here we have the ID. Yeah, the ID, that would be fine. And then we have the values. So the value would be the name, then the value would be the surname, the value would be, oh, sorry, so we don't have surname, external ID, capital, we have GDP. Oh no, sorry, I need external, that would be capital here. So ID, we don't provide it. Yeah, so this is the internal ID, not external ID. We provide external ID at the end. Okay, so the sequence should match. So the first one should be name, second one should be capital, the next one should be currency, then it should be GDP, and the last one is external ID. So yeah. By the way, let's start with opening collection first. Okay, collection is opened, and now I have prepare statement. So this is the query. This is the query. I need to yeah. And first of all, I need to create the parameters. So in this case, I have the query which does not have, which does have the parameters, but it does not have the value. It does not have the values. So what does it means that I can provide my SQL parameter here, and here I can fill in the parameters. So what are the parameters I can add? That would be name parameter. This would be MySQL parameter. This would be the name. And here I can provide the type. So the type would be SQL database type, and that would be the text. Okay, so this is done. Then the next one would be have the name, we have capital. So again, I create parameter. And I pass the capital. And start to dig in MySQL. and that will also be the text. And so here I provide what would be the type for the SQL. In this case, I don't have. Oh no, I do have varchar. Okay, so we can use the varchar in this case. Yeah, but the text should also be fine. Yeah, if you pass the value as text. So this is done, and then the next one would be also my SQL parameter. Yeah, basically I just fill in the parameters I have. So this will be the currency. So I need again take this parameter. And the type for the currency is also varchar. So currency, then it would be GBP. So in this case, GDP is not text. GDP is double. So then I say, please provide me double. Okay, and the last one will be external ID, which is integer. External ID, and create new MySQL parameter, and that will be external. Again, I take it from here, because they should match. And the type would be integer. Alright, so I have all the prepared parameters here. So it means that now I can fill in there I can fill them to the query. So first I can create the command. So I create Sql Commands. So here I can provide the query and the connection. Because in this case, the program does not know which connection to use, because in theory you can have multiple connections with multiple databases. So in this case, the program should understand this. That's why I provide the connection here. And yeah, now I can add the parameters. So I can simply add the parameters one by one. Parameter capital, parameter parameters, and here I can add currency. Then I can add GBP. Then I can add external ID. And yes, that's it, right? Yeah, so now I fill in all these parameters. And I can execute non-query. No, I can first need to prepare. So let me prepare and then let me execute this query. Okay, so this is done. So I have all these, yeah, basically I have all these countries. Alright, so this is done. Now I need to fill in the values. So I also need to fill in the values. So I can add the parameter, and now I can fill in the value for the parameter. So let's say I get the first parameter and I get the name. So when we can finally use the values we got. So for the parameter O, this is and this is name, right? Yeah, this is the name, so we can get the name from here. Parameter, oh, the value, of course. Yeah. Of course, the value. So then the same for the next one. That would be the capital. So I get the capital from the country. So then for the next one, I get the currency. Then I do the same for GDP. And then the last one for the external ID. Oh, so hold on. GDP, of course, from country. And then the last one is I get the external ID. That will be the ID from here. Okay, so once this is done, I can prepare and execute the query. Okay, so let's see, and at the end I can close the connection. At the end I can close the connection. Okay, so let's run the program. Okay, so the program is executed. I don't see any errors. And let's check if we have any data. No, we don't have. Okay, so let's see. Oh, okay, of course, because I did not execute the program. My fault, sorry. So I called program migrate, of course. I forgot to execute the program. So here you can pass the list of countries, and I can run the program. Okay, so we have the issue that it is unable to connect the hold on. That's because I provided the wrong source here. It should be simply just localhost. User ID is root, is correct. Okay, so let's try again. Let's try again. Okay, so the program is executed. Let's see if we do have any results. Okay, so we have the results, and all the results look to be correct, right? Yeah. So this is what we have right now. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, then I want to give the task for you. So I will share this program right now, but what I want you to ask is to also create your small database and choose one of the file formats. Up to you. You can use JSON, XML, or CSV. So you can select one of the formats, and I will share now the files with you. So for a moment, let it be. And let me check. one. Okay, maybe this one would be fine. Yeah, I think. Okay, let me share 3 files with you. So the task for you would be that. Yeah. So you have 3 files. So one is JSON, one is XML, and one is CSV. So you can ignore delete column. This is up to you. But what I want you to create is that you create your database table, which stores the information about the operating system. Yeah, so you have the value for ID, for name, developer, operating system family, and let's say latest version. So you need to read this data first, and then migrate it to your database table. Okay. So you can select file type. It's up to you to select it. Which one? So this would be just additional task. Let's say until next session, just with one bonus point then for you. So yeah. So please then, once you finish, please share the screenshot with me. That's just screenshot with your database, so database table, and also then share the code with me. Just not the code, but push it to your remote repository. Okay, do you have the questions? Yeah. Okay. You yeah. So okay. Yeah, this is correct. Maybe can you show your screen? Maybe. Yeah. 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 Can you start Apache as well? No, can you start Apache as well? Yeah. Okay, and then can you press submit now? Yeah. So here you go. Yeah, yeah. So you also need to run Apache in this for. So, but then you have this PHP admin, so you can do whatever you want there. Okay, good. Yeah. So then please proceed then. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then please start. I'm still here, just in case you have any questions. I can show something, or you can also share your screen as if anything is not clear. Okay. And yeah, by the way, I'm sharing the code to GitHub repository. Now, so you can So, so you can take the code from there. Okay, so I pushed changes code. I should not be able to access them. you have any questions, any help needed, just let me know. Okay, I go for 10 minutes break, maybe now, then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Do you have any questions? Maybe. Okay, then if you have, let me know. Yes, 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 I'm here. I'm here. No, no, I mean, you need to create a program where you, I mean, the same way as here. So you create a program, you read the file content from the program, and then you call SQL query from here. Yeah. Yeah. So, so first we need to create a database. Have we done it? Okay, so once the database is created, then you create a table. So you need to press new, and from here you can create a table name, and then the fields. Yeah. I mean, the database, you need to press new here. So you press new, you provide the name of the database, so, and then your database will be created. So, and after that you can create the tables. Yeah, and then you can create the tables after under the database. So here you have the name. Here's the name of the table, and here you have the name of the columns. For the date, you need to write the program which will read the file. The same way as here. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, yeah. Yes. Manually, you can try. Of course, you can try for yourself. But no. I mean, you can enter, but it's just. I mean, this is not the task yet. Task is that you. So, and you can take my program as the template. So I already shared this code. So for the query, you already have it. You just need to adjust it so you are for your file type for your database. Good. Any other questions? Do you have any questions? Things are going. Any help needed, maybe? Just in case you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, yeah. If you use varchars, you need to provide the one for them. So if you go to the structure, I mean, this is up to you. What will be the limit for the name? I mean, yeah. Okay. It's Okay, are there any questions? I see there are people going. So, yeah, of course, you can also do it until Wednesday. Then I will mark this as maybe if you completed, I will mark this as additional point. But yeah, that's a good practice for you. It's working on with the databases and with the files. It's one of the practical things what you may need to do. Sure as well. Okay, so then if there are no questions, so maybe then we can close the session now, and in case you have any questions, you can reach me anytime. Not late evenings, but so if you ask me late evenings, I will most likely answer you next morning. Okay, then no questions. Then thank you very much for your attention today, and then meet you all on Wednesday. Thank you.